All right, so we're back here again. And so let's think a little bit more about one of the core functions of police. It would be helped if my pen was on, which maybe. No. Patrol! Yes, that's what we're talking about. So when we're referring to patrol, just to be clear about what we're talking about, we're talking about things that we see or police are, roaming around, right? And so let's think about like what exactly it is, right? So if we were, in a classroom, we were going around, right? We know a couple things, right? So if we are on patrol, right, cops either on foot or on car or something like that, they are visible, right? So we have this visible presence that's coming in, right? And what this is, what we try to do with it then, and somewhat related to this, is that we have this deterrent effect. So if we have, patrol that's out, we see police officers that are, out there, right? The goal is to maybe deter something. So let's say someone was out and they were thinking about being up to no good. We could see them, they could see the police officers, and then maybe that deters something else like that. Patrol then, because we have this deterrent effect, is also related to peacekeeping. So, now maybe they do that while they're in their car, but officers are readily deployed in order to go out, see something that's going on, keep the peace of what's happening, and prevent it from anything happening, right? Or if there is someone who is, let's say it's party night, you're in downtown New Orleans, you have police there, the goal is to okay, everyone stay calm, cops are here, throw out your weed, whatever, something like that. All that is important. The other part is when you are on patrol, and you have officers deployed in the city, the goal is to be quick about your deployment, so you're quickly deploying. So as situations emerge, right? So let's say that there was a shooting incident, or that there was an arrest stop that went bad. If you have officers that are out, they're on patrol. Sorry for the big yawn. So if they're quickly deployed, you have a quicker reaction time, right? And so because of that, if you're able to quickly deploy, you can also apprehend criminals. You're out there, you can see something, do something about it, and it shows like this core function of what's happening. So related to this visible presence and this deterrent, though, is also this function of traffic enforcement. So officers will go in, they're responsible for issuing tickets or at least monitoring certain areas like a school zone, making sure people don't speed, ticketing people who need to be ticketed, if they ticketed, at all, right? And so all this also serves as like another function of police. In some cases, they also act as security. So, let's say it's for a political rally, or maybe it's for, like a concert event, or maybe like if there is, some, if there's a member of Congress or something that's hosting an event, they can either escort, the congressperson through traffic or some other thing like that. That could be another example, right? So the whole goal then is that having patrol officers out there is to keep order and civility in the community. So that's the main goal of what they're doing then, right? So if we have that, this is really what we try to do with patrol. So it's more than just, we're out there, we're stopping people, we're interviewing them, investigating them, right? So patrol, the idea of having police on the streets is, a bit more complex, a bit more than just like, whatever we think police do, right? So they serve a lot of tasks by being out in the open like this. Now, at the same time, right, when we think about patrol, as far as respect to crime, you talk to any police officer and say this is really critical for preventing crime. And, to be sure, like this does lead to some crime prevention, right? But it's also sort of passive, and it's a reactive situation. So what I mean by that is that you send police, and while they are out roaming, right, like they're just roaming. There's not really a purpose. And the nice thing about being on patrol is that you're just kind of out, and you see something that interests you. You want to go do dry cleaning. You can, or if you want to go get lunch somewhere, whatever. You're, as long as you're mobile, right, you're doing your job. You're patrolling the community, keeping it safe. But in terms of crime prevention, right, this is, you may react to a call that's being seen or something that's happening, but this doesn't really, it's not really proactive. So it's not proactive. So there really isn't something where you can say, hey, like I intervened with a community member today, or I, like stopped something before it's happening, or I took that little extra initiative to do better or to prevent something in the first place, right? So the goal then is, how do we improve this? Because as is, if it's just random control, there's not a lot of crime that's prevented. It's simply a reactionary statement. And even though you may have a faster response time, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's good, right? I mean, if you're responding to a crime, the crime already happened, and maybe you can get there to say something, but most of the time it's like too late for that kind of happens, right? So, if we have this then, and we think about how do we improve patrol, especially since, it's a lot of the time, you have officers that are out there, they're allocated doing this kind of crime patrol and stuff like that. What else do we do in order to, sorry, I'm looking at my window. This guy just showed off his abs to his wife, their child. He tapped him. I mean, he's pretty ripped, but, also it was just a weird moment that he just did that in broad daylight. So how do we improve it then? Patrol then, right? Especially since we think about the time and money that's spent on it, and it goes into maintaining a vehicle fleet, all the gas that's involved, all the weapons and tools and whatever else is involved in there. How do we maximize this resource? So that's kind of what we'll talk about in the next session, right? Is to figure out, like, what do we do with this resource in order to make it better?